What's going on, guys? JSGC here, back again with another Manchester City live watch-along, where today we're going to be doing the live watch-along of Manchester City's Premier League game against Crystal Palace. Our game in hand on Arsenal. Once more, 5 points behind the league leaders. A chance here to go 2 points behind Arsenal and a chance to try and make some gains on goal difference. We know that Arsenal's remaining fixtures coming up Monday night against Burnley at home, already relegated Burnley, followed by a game 6 days later against Crystal Palace away from home, with Crystal Palace having the Europa Conference League final just 3 days upon the conclusion of the Premier League season. Palace have rotated a bit here. They'll rotate in their next game. They'll rotate against Arsenal as well. So Man City's hopes of winning the Premier League, pretty slim. However, as I mentioned in my preview, I think it's important here that Manchester City try and put themselves in as strong a position as possible to get Arsenal under the maximum amount of pressure that we can get them under. And by doing that, it means, of course, winning this game and taking Arsenal's goal difference away from them, with Man City needing to win by 3 or more today to take a better goal difference than Arsenal. And Man City then are in a position where if Arsenal end up somehow dropping points at home against Burnley or away against Crystal Palace, Man City are in a position where if they can win their remaining Premier League games, they can become Premier League champions. For me, best chance to win the Premier League was the game on Sunday. West Ham, of course, having that late equaliser taken away from them through VAR. It puts Arsenal now in a very commanding position where the job is very nearly done. Man City now just clinging on to hope that maybe Burnley or maybe Crystal Palace can do us a favour between now and the end of the season. But for us to be in a position to take advantage of potential favours, we've got to do ourselves a favour. Win this game first and foremost, and then try and make gains on that goal difference, because it could be important, should Arsenal drop any points, that we're in a position to go first and win the Premier League. Now, if Arsenal end up losing any of their remaining games and Man City win out, then we don't have to think about goal difference. It would be more likely if Arsenal are to drop points, it's going to come via a draw rather than them losing a game, which means goal difference could still be very important. That could be completely out of the window should Arsenal win big against Burnley and Man City don't win by a sizable amount today against Crystal Palace. But we've got the complications of an FA Cup final coming up at the weekend. Pep Guardiola has taken a decision to rotate the team. 6 changes. I suspect the other 4 or 5 players who haven't been rotated, obviously Donnarumma is going to get rested for the cup final, so it would be a case that 3 players are going to need a rest. Them 3 players are probably going to get rested. Either maybe one of the other players might get rested in the cup final, and then a couple more might get rested against AFC Bournemouth. Man City have seen this position, and they've basically said to themselves that we want to go, in terms of our focus for the next few days, is very much on that game against Chelsea at the weekend in terms of the FA Cup, because we know that we've got the most prestigious domestic cup competition on the line, a trophy that we, of course, lost last season against today's opponents, Crystal Palace, and we want to go one better. We want to rectify what went wrong last season and try and pick up an FA Cup, which would be a cup double, second place, potentially taking a title race down to the final game of the season. Sounds like progress on last season, and Man City heading in the right direction. Would it be great to make it a domestic treble and win the Premier League? It would, but it's highly unlikely that is going to happen. But never say never. As I mentioned in my preview, it's just a case of what if. So Man City have to be ready that if that what if happens and Arsenal do drop points, that we can capitalise upon that. You know, these final few games of the season, they're very complicated. They're not like normal 90 minutes of football. They become high-pressure games. And if Burnley can defend for their lives and don't end up conceding inside the first half at the Emirates Stadium on Monday night, all of a sudden it becomes a 45-minute season for Arsenal where they've got to find a goal. You start to panic. And at this time of the year, it's very easy to start panicking. How many times have we seen Man City dragged into final day drama and things just don't go according to plan? Queen's Park Rangers, Aston Villa. We had to show up, we had to turn up, we had to make things happen. At this stage of the season, there's no such thing as a gimme for Arsenal. So we live in more hope than expectation that that could be the case. However, we also face the complications that we've still got 4 games to play in the matter of, 10, 11 days. It's a lot of football to be played, which is why we're rotating here. Because we've got to win this game. If we want to win the Premier League, we've got to win today. We don't win today, Arsenal could win the Premier League on Monday with a win against Burnley. It makes the final game of the season pointless, redundant. It means nothing. So we've got a job to do here today. We've got to try and win today. We win today, it means Arsenal cannot lift the trophy at the Emirates Stadium. It then means that the only way that Arsenal can win the Premier League would be through them beating Burnley and then Manchester City dropping points against either AFC Bournemouth away or Aston Villa at home, or Arsenal win their final game and also Manchester City end up beating AFC Bournemouth. So the permutations are getting slimmer. The potential for Man City to win the Premier League is getting slimmer by the day. But in terms of us putting ourselves in the strongest position, it's all for me about this game in hand here against Crystal Palace. First and foremost, got to win, get that to 2 points. It means that even if Arsenal have the goal difference, if Arsenal lose a game and we win out, we win the Premier League. That's what's riding on today's game. But if we can win today and win big, it puts Arsenal under a sizable amount of pressure. And I'm just having a look at the Premier League table and the potential permutations. With 2 goal difference behind Arsenal. So if City win by 2 goals today, we would, in theory, if Arsenal drop points and Man City win out, we would top the Premier League table on goals scored. We don't know what's going to happen in that Arsenal-Burnley game. It could end up being a really nitty-gritty kind of game. My expectation is Arsenal are going to steamroll Burnley. So for me, it's a question of how many are Arsenal going to score and how many are going to win by. What we want to do is try and get Arsenal under pressure that, Arsenal are aiming for against Burnley, to try and be in a position where if the surprise does happen potentially on the final game, because I'd say it's more likely that Arsenal drop points against Crystal Palace away from home than it is against Burnley at home, an already relegated side, then we've got to try and make them gains on goal difference. And I think if Man City can win here by 3 goals or more, gets Arsenal under a lot of pressure, because it then means that Arsenal have to beat Burnley by 2 if Man City here win by 3. Because otherwise, Arsenal aren't leaving themselves any margin for error in terms of dropping points. Now, if Man City win by a goal here today, let's say Man City win 1-0, Arsenal have 1 goal difference on us, and let's say Man City beat Bournemouth by a single goal, 2-1 for example, realistic scoreline, Man City catch up Arsenal's goal difference. So the question is, what are Arsenal going to do against Burnley? Because if Arsenal end up putting 5 or 6 past Burnley, we're not going to play catch-up on that goal difference. It isn't going to happen. So it means then we're relying on Arsenal losing against Crystal Palace rather than drawing. So for me, we've rotated. We're focused on the FA Cup. I get it. I understand it. I'm not going to sit here and criticise it. However, with the players that we've got available to us, if I'm Pep Guardiola, I'm sitting down with them and I'm saying, you're playing for positions for the FA Cup final. We've got players here who are playing to go to the World Cup. I want to see these players turn up. I want to see these players putting in a really strong performance. I want to see Man City creating, scoring goals and winning this game. If I'm Pep Guardiola, I think my minimum expectation here is I'd be telling the players, I want us to be scoring 2 goals as quickly as possible is my expectation. That's what I want to see from Manchester City. What I don't want is for us to be in a huge dogfight with Crystal Palace, that by the time we're hitting the 75th, 80th minute, we're not leading in this game, because I sense that Man City, their full focus will come away from the Premier League towards the FA Cup. And Pep Guardiola, he's said it himself, to win Premier League titles, you've got to be fully focused. You take your eye off the ball, the eye off the prize for a single moment, you will get stunned, because that's just how good the quality is in the Premier League. We take our focus away from the Premier League today and start thinking about the FA Cup final on Saturday. We will drop points and Arsenal will win the Premier League on Monday. I guarantee you of that. We need to win this game and win big. We do that. We've done all we can for Arsenal in their game against Burnley, where what if? Who knows? We don't know what's going to happen. Final game of the season. Who knows? It's an away game against Crystal Palace. Things don't run to an orderly script. Things don't get done the easy way. There's always twists and turns and drama when it comes to the Premier League. Just look at the roller coaster of emotions for that Arsenal-West Ham game for the final 10 minutes of normal time. Who could foresee what was going to happen? Arsenal find the winner and West Ham deep into added time find the equaliser for it to be cruelly snatched away from them and could potentially relegate West Ham and also hand Arsenal the Premier League trophy. It's Premier League drama, it's talking points, it's exactly what the Premier League want. So we've got a job to do here today. Try and win this game and move on from there, in my opinion. So we'll speak about the teams, we'll speak about this game, we'll speak about the Arsenal drama as well, because I don't feel like I've had a full chance to sit down and speak about giving my thoughts on that, because I do have plenty of opinions and I'd love to know your opinions too. So do stick around. Do make sure you have subscribed to my channel. It is free to subscribe. Also, don't forget social media links. They're in the description. If you want to go and follow me on my X, Instagram and TikTok, email also in the description too. If you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on today's stream. Aiming for 100 likes. Made a good start. Only 70 likes away from 100. So any help towards that would be much appreciated. Also, don't forget to get your thoughts in the live chat, including where you're tuning in from today and your score predictions for today's game. And finally, do go and check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by My Best 11 Pro. You can go and check them out. Links and details, they are in the description.
My Best 11 is fantasy football now with real stakes. You guys to go and think check you're the sharpest football mind in the room? Put your knowledge to the test with My Best 11, the ultimate fantasy football experience where you build your dream team, compete with other players and friends, and win real cash. How it works is simple. My Best 11 has 3 modes. In fantasy mode, pick your best 11 players plus subs and enter into each game week. The higher up the leaderboard you finish each week, the bigger the prize you will receive. In Showdown, predict the outcome, win big. You predict the results of each game in a round of weekly fixtures, whether it be a win, loss or draw. Rack up points for every correct pick, climb the leaderboard and get a share of the prize pot if you place high enough. Unlike accumulators, if you get an incorrect prediction, don't worry, you're not out of the race yet and you can still win. In Event Predictor, get specific and win on the fine margins. Will both teams score? How many yellow cards will there be? How many corners? Event Predictor lets you forecast key moments in a single game and rewards you for getting it right. Choose from a variety of in-game events. Lock in your predictions before kickoff. More right answers equals more points equals more winnings. It's as simple as that. The great thing about My Best 11 is that up to 40% of people on our app are guaranteed to win something, with tiered prizes for first, second and third place,
heading over to the
4th
chat.
to 10th place,
Ming, welcome,
10th to 20th
don't really
place,
care about the
and
league
20th
anymore.
to 30th
It's over. I care about the FA Cup final in a
The more people join,
season,
the bigger the pot, the larger the prize. My Best 11 is where football knowledge pays off.
Looks very encouraging.
Download the free version of our app today and try out all
if we
3
could get
modes.
involved in the title race and take it to the final game, I'd regard that as being a very successful season. We're all going to look back on the season and say what if, because when we beat Arsenal last month, we all got very excited. Maybe we got overexcited, too excited. Maybe we all thought the old Manchester City were well and truly back, but you know, you looked at Man City's schedule, you looked at who Man City were going to be facing off against. There's difficult games in there. There's still difficult games to come. Dropping points away at Everton, I wouldn't rule out City maybe dropping points against AFC Bournemouth away from home as well. Heck, the amount of changes Man City have made here, I wouldn't rule out Man City maybe dropping points against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are a very good team, gone with a very strong team. I wouldn't rule that out being the case. It's just a case here of trying just to keep things dragged on for as long as possible. in the hope that maybe, just maybe, something may happen, because you just never know. Dave, welcome. Thank you for tuning in, helping to moderate today's chat along with Jean as well. Much appreciated. Remember, no spoiling it for others, and please keep it clean. That would be much appreciated. I'm watching on Now TV once more, which means the game is being broadcast live in the UK on Sky Sports. For those of you who are unaware of what Now TV is, it's a streaming platform that provides Sky Sports. Very legal, by the way. All it means is that because it's using a streaming platform, it means it's going to be a little bit behind real time. So if any of you guys are watching in real time, you may just be a few seconds ahead of me. I apologise for that. Not much I can do about that. I'm not paying Sky Sports whopping price to have it done in real time. Now TV, a much better deal, a better contract, so we're going with that. So I'd appreciate nobody spoiling it for me, and for others watching as well. That would be much appreciated. I will put the clock on where I'm up to, and you can just sync your stream up, or you know exactly where I'm up to, because at the end of the day, a live watch along's about me being able to give my thoughts, my opinions, interact with you guys, have a great live watch along, and of course, be able to give my authentic, real reactions to what's happening live in a game. Hence, live watch along. So I would appreciate nobody spoiling it for me, and nobody spoiling it for others as well. Anyone that is, mods, kick them out the stream, please. Dave, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Says, at least your season is still happening. Mine finished last night. Well, Spygate? Maybe not. Dave, I've heard Middlesbrough still training, not going on holiday just yet, waiting to see what does happen. Other Dave, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. It's a bit of a weird team. We'll speak about that in just one moment. Jean, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Corey going with a 2-0 Manchester City win. I like the positivity there, Corey. Geffen, welcome. Thank you for tuning in as well. Says, don't write off Burnley, because if Wolves can get a draw versus Arsenal, so can Burnley. And I agree. I agree with the sentiment. I agree with the thoughts. I agree with what you're saying. My only issue is, if that game was at Turf Moor, I would see that as a real banana skin for Arsenal. Premier League away games are always so complicated, overcomplicated in many aspects. In terms of a home game, I'd be amazed, not just surprised, amazed if Arsenal didn't win that game against Burnley. Just like I'm sure Arsenal fans will be watching this game between Man City and Crystal Palace, knowing Crystal Palace have rotated and Crystal Palace had nothing to play for. They're safe, and we're thinking about the Europa Conference League. So are they expecting a favour from Crystal Palace today? They won't be expecting a favour. They'll be hoping for a favour. Is it going to happen? You look at the teams on paper and you'd say, well, it might with Man City rotating, but more than likely it's not going to happen. And my instinct here is I don't feel like these home games that Arsenal and Man City have got are going to have too much of an influence on the Premier League title race. I'd be surprised if Man City didn't beat Crystal Palace at home. I'd be surprised if Man City didn't beat Aston Villa at home, in particular if Aston Villa end up winning the Europa League and they've got nothing to play for going into the final game of the season. For me, it's all about these banana skin away days. AFC Bournemouth away for Man City, very difficult, and Crystal Palace away for Arsenal. Had Crystal Palace had something to play for, would have been a really tricky, really horrible kind of fixture for them to play in the final game. So the fact that Crystal Palace have nothing to play for and are playing 3 days after that game in the Europa Conference League final, which is of course the big priority for Crystal Palace now because that's where their season success is, you wouldn't blame Crystal Palace for doing a full rotation ahead of that Arsenal game. So as I said, my hopes are not high, but you just never know. We'll see what does happen. Tito, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Says, what do I make of the starting lineup? Is Pep throwing away the league? That's a great talking point and a great way for me to lead on to being able to speak about the team. So we'll start off first by speaking about Crystal Palace. No surprise that Oliver Glasner has gone with a usual 3-4-2-1 formation, including two fullbacks that I think are brilliant. Munoz on the right-hand side and Mitchell on the left-hand side. Full strength in them fullback areas. For me, Crystal Palace's two key outlets in this game, both on the right and left-hand side. We've got to find a way to try and keep Mitchell quiet on the left and Munoz quiet on the right. So they're starting Dean Henderson in goal, good goalkeeper. Canvot starting alongside Lacroix and Richards as their three centre-backs. Munoz on the right, Mitchell on the left. Lerma and Will Hughes given the nod in midfield. Brennan Johnson starts alongside Yerry Pino with Mateta starting up top. Strong team from Crystal Palace. Mateta, of course, a fantastic striker. Got to try and keep him quiet. Pino, Johnson can cause problems. Munoz, Mitchell, they can cause problems. There's physicality in there with Lerma. Will Hughes is a decent central midfielder. Just all round, it's a very decent squad from Crystal Palace. And they've got quality on the bench as well. Ismaila Sarr, Nathaniel Clyne, Adam Wharton, Daichi Kamada, Jorgen Strand Larsen. There's good quality options there on the bench for Crystal Palace to be relied upon as well. Now, I do think it's a bit of a blow not having the full physicality there. I was very impressed at Selhurst Park back in December when Man City played Crystal Palace. Adam Wharton was very impressive that day. Obviously, Ismaila Sarr's having a real good season with Crystal Palace. Brought in Larsen as well. No real surprise. Larsen started the last game, so Mateta's going to start this one. I imagine Larsen will start the next game for Crystal Palace and Mateta will start against Arsenal. Obviously, Oliver Glazer taking an opportunity here just to have a look at the rest of the Crystal Palace squad when it comes to him making the big decisions for what's going to be their starting 11 for their big Europa Conference League final against Rayo Vallecano. So a strong team there for Crystal Palace. Plenty of dangers, plenty of quality. Munoz, Mitchell, Pino, Johnson, Mateta. I'm looking at these kind of players, and these are players that can make a real influence on this game. So Man City have got to be, putting in a very, very strong performance. Now, for Man City, a bit of an odd one, this one, and I'm not too sure on how to digest this because there's many different ways that this team could be interpreted. So a 4-2-3-1 formation. Donnarumma starts in goal. I think it's going to be Abdukodir Khusanov on the right-hand side and Ait-Nouri on the left-hand side with Guehi starting as the right centre-back and Josko Gvardiol returning back to the starting 11. Great to see him back in full fitness and starting this game. I imagine the plan here will be for him to maybe get 45 to 60 minutes in today's game, and then you're probably going to see Nathan Ake come on in the second half. Josko Gvardiol just trying to prove his fitness ahead of the World Cup with Croatia, so obviously he's got a big point to prove. And then into midfield, because there's no Nico Gonzalez, and I'm not 100% sure why he's not even in the matchday squad. Pep Guardiola's confirmed there's so many players that are fully fit. I don't know if Nico Gonzalez is fully fit. Obviously, Rodri isn't fully fit. So we don't have a defensive midfielder. So I was thinking to myself, who's going to go into defensive midfield? Is it going to be Bernardo Silva supported by Rayan Ait-Nouri, or is it going to be Matheus Nunes? And I think with the pace and power that Matheus Nunes has got and the experience that he's got in the Premier League so far this season and from last season as well, I think Matheus Nunes might be playing in a bit of a deeper role today for Manchester City and playing more in midfield rather than in defence. And of course, defensively, he's going to be able to chip in, especially if Rayan Ait-Nouri decides that he wants to get forward, because you could see Josko Gvardiol slide into the left-hand side and Marc Guehi going through the centre and Abdukodir Khusanov on the right-hand side, and Matheus Nunes obviously becomes Man City's more right wing-back or right-back, so we'll see. Having a look at midfield then, so Matheus Nunes, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden. I'm expecting Phil Foden to be getting quite a lot of minutes here. He's got a huge point to prove, because I feel like this is his last Premier League start that he's going to get if he doesn't impress here. If he wants to go to the World Cup with England, Phil Foden here needs to impress, needs to create, needs to grab assists, needs to score goals. Today, for me, has got to be the Phil Foden show. And if Phil Foden can make it the Phil Foden show, and he can find his form from 2024 before the European Championships, Phil Foden could cause absolute havoc on Crystal Palace, and he could single-handedly, because he's got that individual quality, spur Manchester City forward to score us goals, win us this game, and make them games that's needed on Arsenal on goal difference as well. Remember, needing City to win by 2 or more today to take control momentarily of the goal difference, depending on what Arsenal do against Burnley next Monday, and of course what Man City do in their game against AFC Bournemouth, the penultimate game of the season and our final away game of the season. Savinho starts on the right, Semenyo on the left, and it's Omar Marmoush starting. It does mean there's quite a bit of rotation and rest for some players. I think 6 changes made from the game from last week that Manchester City, of course, managed to win against Brentford on Saturday. Jeremy Doku in form on the bench. Rayan Cherki in form on the bench. Erling Haaland in form on the bench. Alongside them, you got Mateo Kovacic, Nathan Ake, John Stones, Tijjani Reijnders, James Trafford, and Ruben Dias. Plenty of options there for Manchester City. I still believe if Man City go all guns blazing here at Crystal Palace and can find a way to score a couple of goals inside the first 25-30 minutes, I'm confident that Man City not only can keep a clean sheet today, but can also go on to score some goals, score 3 or 4 goals. So if we can get off to a good start here, I'm feeling pretty optimistic. If this game drags out and it's, 0-0 or, Crystal Palace score first and things are getting frustrating by the time it gets to 75, 80 minutes, I can see Man City preserving energy, sacking it off and saying, Premier League done and dusted, we're focusing on the FA Cup instead. So, yeah, an interesting one there. Do I think Pep's throwing away the league to answer the question? I don't think he is. I think he's just taking his final opportunity to rotate for the season before we go full strength Chelsea, Bournemouth and Aston Villa. Right, that leads us then to kick-off. Crystal Palace are going to get us underway, playing in their dark yellow kits, yellow shirts, yellow shorts, yellow socks, with Manchester City playing in their sky blue shirts, white shorts and sky blue socks. Crystal Palace attacking from right to left, with Manchester City attacking from left to right as Crystal Palace do get us underway for today's game. Dio, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated. It depends where you're tuning in from as to what's the best app to watch on. Jean says, controversial opinion, but I'd rather want Glazner than Maresca. Of course, it does split an opinion. I think it's just because Maresca, right at the top end of English football, has been a little unproven. Didn't really set the world alight with Chelsea. Did a alright job there, I thought. Nothing stand out. Nothing that says he needs to replace Pep Guardiola. Did a good job in the Championship with Leicester City. For me, not so much into the Premier League. So, obviously, Oliver Glazer's a very impressive manager, done a great job with Crystal Palace. Him, Iraola at Bournemouth, I think would be, if you wanted to go for Premier League choices, would be 2 good managers to go for. I suspect it'll be, the likes of Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur, if they're looking around changing their managers, that would be targeting towards them managers rather than Manchester City. I think City with Maresca maybe playing it a bit safe because he's used to the club, knows the club. Knows Pep Guardiola, knows the philosophy, knows how he wants to play. So I just feel like that's a bit of a safe option for Man City. Borderline an underwhelming choice, but of course I will get behind Maresca if he does end up replacing Pep, which I've said before, I think what happens in this Premier League season and how the season comes to an end will have an impact on what Pep Guardiola does next, as Crystal Palace could be in here, Crystal Palace could be in here, Crystal Palace are in here, and it's a brilliant save. Is a goal been given? I think the offside flag's gone up. It has. It was a great save from Donnarumma. I'm not too sure if it crossed the line or not. Mateta's celebrating, waiting for the referee to point to the centre circle. So let's have a look. Don't think we're going to need to goal line technology to get involved here, because I think he's just offside. It's a great save from Donnarumma, and I'm not convinced it does go in that. An early warning sign there for Manchester City, though. 2 minutes in. Good play from Crystal Palace, and City just carved open like cake. P, thanks for tuning in. O'Reilly on the bench. Nico Gonzalez. I have no idea. I really do not know. So, guys, don't forget, leave a thumbs up. Now, just 13 likes away from 50. Any help towards that would be great. Do subscribe and do go check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by My Best 11 Pro. Links and details, they are in the description. A big early warning sign there for City. I don't think it crossed the line. I've not got commentary on for them to say that it confirmed or not. O'Reilly's not injured. I don't know about Gonzalez. I was hoping we'd get an update, but nobody asked. So I'm not too sure. Man City, as you'd expect with so many changes, and a lot of these players haven't really played with each other, looking a bit disjointed. Maresca, of course, all these rumours have come about. Maresca said he was going to announce a decision on his future in the summer. He won't be short of offers, I'm sure. So I don't necessarily think he's hinting that Pep's going to be leaving. I just struggle to imagine that Pep Guardiola's walking away from Man City without, a really big deal being made. And Pep Guardiola, I can imagine Pep Guardiola giving an emotional speech with a Premier League trophy in his hand, saying his farewells. I don't picture Pep Guardiola being beaten by Arsenal to the Premier League trophy and Pep Guardiola saying, that's me done and dusted, I'm waving goodbye. I struggle in my head to picture that. So I could see Pep Guardiola maybe just, staying throughout the duration of his contract. I wouldn't rule out Pep signing a contract extension, but just telling Manchester City, look, I've signed a contract extension to end speculation over my future, but my plan is that I want to leave in the next 12 months. I'm just fed up with the questions because I think Pep's a bit undecided. Will he, won't he, that kind of situation. So we're getting towards, if he is going to walk away, we could do with knowing sooner rather than later. Mixed, welcome. Tuning in from Yorkshire. Wrong side of the Pennines. I'm just joking to my Yorkshire subscribers. Just a tease. Just a tease. Right. 0-0. Man City haven't done anything in these opening 5 minutes. I was hoping for a quick start. Goals to be scored yet. Not really seen anything yet from Manchester City. Here's Josko Gvardiol. This looks like Nunes. Do you know, it looks almost like Josko Gvardiol's in midfield, It keeps alternating. It's a bit weird. If Nunes wants to centralise himself, then, Khusanov will go to the right wing. And on the left-hand side, that's ping-ponging. I think that might be a goal kick. Is he giving a corner? Man City are asking for handball. It was ping-ponging around. I'll get a better angle here. Let's have a look. His arm's not by his side, but is it in an unnatural position? I think you're in one of them. Do you want to see penalties given for that? I don't think that's a penalty for me. His arm's not by his side. You run the risk that if your ball hits your arm and it's not by your side, that maybe a penalty might get given for that. Champions League would maybe have a longer look at that. But as I said, I don't think want to see penalties given for that. Corner comes in from Foden. Not a bad corner. Headed clear-ish by Crystal Palace. They can't get it fully clear though, so Bernardo's going to have another pop. Richards gets his head onto it. Can't nod it clear. Might be able to bring it away now. And here goes the counter-attack. Man City just look a bit disorientated when they're being ran at. They've managed to get plenty of bodies back and pretty quickly there from City's defence. So that's pretty good. Seamus, thanks for tuning in. It is, yeah. That's why I spoke about, in terms of rotation, in my preview, about the importance that if you want to rotate the team, you just make 1 or 2 changes per game. You make 1 or 2 changes against Brentford. You make 1 or 2 changes in this game. 1 or 2 changes for the Cup final. 1 or 2 changes against Bournemouth and 1 or 2 changes against Villa. That, for me, then allows every single player to be fully rotated. So, yeah. Geffen, yeah, Gvardiol is very versatile. Wouldn't be surprised to be the man in midfield. Almost acting as the floater. Can do what he wants. Julia, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed watching Ted Lasso. Easy to lose track of time, isn't it? As Rayan Ait-Nouri burst forward there. Manages to help Man City get a corner. This time it's going to be on City's left-hand side. City do want to try and take this one quickly. Bernardo's gone over. Crystal Palace have read that and are going to look to try and put a stop to that. So Guehi's in there. Josko Gvardiol's in there. Some defending for Crystal Palace to do. Bernardo puts one in. Palace win the header. I always feel like Man City's corners are just a bit, done in more in hope than expectation. I just feel like you need to properly force the issue. As City get themselves another corner taken quickly by Savinho. Works it to Foden. Here's Matheus Nunes. Back to Savinho. He slips trying to play a ball across. Nearly works as well, but Palace do well just to get a toe onto that and get it clear, or half clear, as Bernardo Silva now works it to the left. So City, after, first 4 or 5 minutes, looked a bit disjointed, looking a bit sharper now, coming forward, and it looks like City have got themselves another corner. It is another corner. Brennan Johnson leading the protest. He felt like it should have been a goal kick, but it is not. Jean says, Man City's chances of lifting the Premier League today is either down from 12 to 18%. So it's bad, but not too bad. And that's just it. You know, there's a chance. You've just got to keep them chances alive. What we want to do in this situation is, if you was to offer me a chance that if Man City win against Aston Villa and Arsenal draw against Crystal Palace, we win the Premier League, I'd take that chance right now. I'd say, deal. I'll accept that situation. Don't see Burnley doing much against Arsenal. It means we take control of the goal difference. It means Arsenal are in a quite simple situation. Win your game against Crystal Palace, or you're probably going to lose the Premier League. Anyway, into the 10th minute. 0-0 here at the Etihad Stadium. Crystal Palace now got everybody behind the ball. Here's Abdukodir Khusanov then to Matheus Nunes. Here's Savinho. Seamus, yeah, I agree. It should stay consistent. To be fair, it's quite consistent. You know, Khusanov's in there. Guehi's in there. Matheus Nunes is in there. 3 of the normal back 4 that we have are starting today. So I'd say the back 4's fairly settled and consistent. Rayan Ait-Nouri's had a good few minutes through February, March. So no real surprise to see him starting. I think the bigger surprise is no Nico Gonzalez in the team. So Josko Gvardiol's come in instead. I don't know how fit Josko Gvardiol is. Obviously been out since June. Tells me that he's probably fit enough to do what? 45 minutes? I reckon he might come off at half-time for Nathan Ake. So, yeah. Jean, lifting a Premier League trophy is lifting a Premier League trophy. Ideally, you want to do it at home, in front of your own fans. If it's to be lifted away from home, it's to be lifted away from home. You know, we've had it against, was it Brighton and Hove Albion? And some great scenes in that away end. Is Crystal Palace springing a counter-attack. Looking sharp on these counter-attacks. The shot comes in and a good block. Is that Josko Gvardiol with the block? Looking very, very dangerous on these counter-attacks, Crystal Palace. Very dangerous. You know, I take a bit of encouragement that, you know, Crystal Palace are looking sharp and looking good. They've still got to play Arsenal, so it gives me hope that, you know, they could ask questions of Arsenal. All things football, thanks for tuning in. It's great to see Josko Gvardiol back. If he can keep himself injury-free over the next few games, he should be off to the World Cup with Croatia. Will Hughes then with a corner here for Crystal Palace. Swung in, header won by Richards and nodded over the top of the crossbar. They want a corner, he's not got a corner. I think Richards probably should have had a corner. I mean, that comes off the top of Guehi's head. I think I'm right. Phil Foden battling there to try and get a throw-in. Gets a throw-in for Man City as well. Good work there from Phil. It's not all about, scoring and assisting. It's, you've got to help your team when needed to. And Phil Foden there does well. Gets City a throw-in. Takes the danger away from Crystal Palace potentially attacking our penalty area. Gets us a throw-in midway inside our own half. Means we can turn defence into attack. Here is Matheus Nunes. All things football, to be fair, it's a player's ambitions to play at a World Cup, so they'll be devastated to miss it. You know, Savinho's missed out on the squad for Brazil. He's not going to the World Cup. So, tells you where Savinho's been in the last 12 months. I wonder if he regrets not forcing a move to Spurs in the summer. Anyway, it's good work from Josko Gvardiol. Gets a little flick from his back to Rayan Ait-Nouri, and Ait-Nouri now into a position where he could have put a ball into the box. He chooses not to. Obviously, that's the downside you've got of not having a 6'4" Erling Haaland in the penalty area. That if you want to go with, early crosses. You've not really got anyone to aim for. You've got Semenyo that's in there and Marmoush that are in there. Neither of them are tiny, but they're not Erling Haaland. The Bill, welcome, thanks for tuning in. Good defending there from Munoz. Heads it clear, throwing Man City to be taken by, I think it's going to be taken by Josko Gvardiol. Throws it back to Marc Guehi, midway inside the Crystal Palace half. City working it from left to right. Here is Bernardo Silva, captain for City. Penultimate home game, he's going to be captain for City as well. Phil Foden not happy with Bernardo that he didn't receive a pass there. Signals a hand gesture. Here is Rayan Ait-Nouri on the left. Up against Munoz. Ball goes in to the near post. Richards heads clear. Only as far as Guehi and sits up nicely for him. Goes for it on the half volley. Has a smile on his face because he gets it all wrong. The Bill, I agree. I prefer having 32, not 48. You feel like it's a bit of a money grab. It's having as many teams in it as possible. And still, they've had big nations not qualify. And the solution to it will be just to, put more teams into the World Cup to a point that, it loses its meaning of qualifying. You've got to earn your spots at the World Cup, not just be handed your spot there. The whole fascination about the World Cup is, it's the hardest thing to win. So no surprise, the build, they want it up to 64. That's just to make sure that every single nation near enough that's competent at football can get in. I just think it's too many teams. It's a bit like the European Championships. As much as I like that they introduced the last 16, I quite liked when it was just top two went through in the groups of four and it went straight into a quarter final. It made it very difficult to win, but when you got to the latter stages, you had to work really hard. None of this third place finishes and still going through in a group of four. What's that all about? It's a bit like the Champions League. Potentially, Bournemouth could get in the Champions League for finishing sixth. Keyword is Champions League. How can a team finish in sixth place be solid enough to be going into the Champions League? Makes it easier and easier to qualify. You still get big teams that don't qualify, but it just makes it easier to qualify by just putting so many teams in it. As Abdukodir Khusanov sits up for him as a shot. Rain coming down in Manchester. The sun was out 10 minutes ago. If you ever wanted to summarise Manchester weather for you, that's it right there. Sun was out 10 minutes ago. It's now throwing it down with rain. Taylor, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Through 17 minutes. Been a pretty quick 17 minutes. Been a pretty quick 17 minutes. Shame. There's a lot of new VAR rules going in. I just don't want it to completely disrupt the flow of the game. Checking corners. Checking second yellow cards and everything. It's all about flow. How frustrating was it with the Arsenal-West Ham game? 5 minutes to make the decision. The situation is very simple. It's clear and obvious. If there's a clear error that's being made, overturn it. If it's not clear and you're having to take 5 minutes to look for something, then it's not that clear. And I sometimes just think to myself that VAR's not made the game better. It's made it worse. Subjective refereeing going on, and we're at a point where I feel like referees rely on VAR to make their decisions for them. I'm amazed the referee never saw the pull on David Raya, or maybe he didn't, just didn't think it was a free kick, but because VAR's told him they think it is a foul and a free kick, go and have a look at it. And once you've been called over, VAR's basically saying your decision you're giving on field is, we think it's wrong. Takes a brave referee, and it does happen every now and then. It's frustrating when it's against you. We've had it this season where the referee goes over to the monitor, been told they think he's wrong, and he's gone, nah, I don't think I am wrong. I'm going to stick with my decision. It might frustrate you as a fan that opinion gets made, but I do respect referees who say, I'm sticking with my decision. I don't think there's anything wrong with the goal. Now, my opinion on that Arsenal one, and I said I was going to give my opinion on it, is I thought it was a foul on the goalkeeper. For me, as clear as a foul on the goalkeeper, you're probably going to see. He puts his hand on him to stop him from grabbing the ball properly. And I think, if that's Man City in that situation, I'd want a free kick given for that. I mean, the bigger talking point's about all the wrestling that's going on in the Premier League and how often's that been going on. As a shot comes in from Rayan Ait-Nouri and it goes wide, how often has that been going on with all the wrestling that's been going on in the penalty area, yet they've done absolutely nothing about it, both from a defensive and an offensive point of view. And it makes it so inconsistent. As other people have pointed out before, if it's a game that's not got so many eyes on it, VAR would have just looked at it and gone, is it clear and obvious? Should the keeper be stronger? Maybe. We don't think it's clear and obvious. We're going to allow the goal. But because it's got such importance to Arsenal and to West Ham, that they feel like they've got to have a look and they've got to do something about it. And it's in them situations where it's VAR that becomes the problem for me, because I'd rather just the referee made them decisions. I can think of loads of examples. Michael Owen's goal that he scored past Manchester City and them added time, how frustrating it was, all boiled down to the referee. And I'm furious at the referee, but there's only one person on that pitch that I'm angry at, and that's the referee for making that decision. But you get over it. When you've got a referee making a decision and it's incorrect, it's annoying, but you can accept it. When you've got a referee making a decision and you don't think it's the correct one, and you've got another official looking at it who's agreeing with the referee and making incorrect decisions, it then becomes incredibly infuriating, to a point that people start suggesting about, certain teams having bias and X, Y, and Z happening. And I just feel like we're at a point where I just prefer for there to be no VAR. Goal line technology is a wonderful thing. Offside isn't really subjective with the automated technology that they've got in. Everything else is subjective, and if it's subjective, then you've got a case to argue. As Jared Bowen had said, you can nitpick through every single goal and you'll find faults with them. And when that's happening, and the referees are relying on the video assisted referees to be making their decisions for them, and it's leading to referees maybe not wanting to make such influencing decisions in big games, like giving a free kick for a foul on the goalkeeper, because if the referee's original decision was free kick for Arsenal, no one would complain. They'd go, oh, you can see why the referee's given that. But it's worthwhile having a look at all the wrestling that's going on. Did I think there was wrestling going on before the corner was taken? Yes. Did that wrestling continue as the ball had been corner had been taken? Yes. Was then fouls happening before the keeper was fouled? Also yes. Yet the referee said that it wasn't, when it was. So it's ultimately, it cost maybe Man City a Premier League title, but I feel like we cost it ourselves through drawing away at Everton. Yes, but you're blowing leads against Tottenham Hotspur, losing at home to Tottenham Hotspur, dropping points against West Ham, dropping home points against Nottingham Forest. They're the results that are to blame for why Manchester City potentially aren't going to win the Premier League. It doesn't all boil down to that one moment, that one situation. Yet, for West Ham, it's them who I feel sorry for, who that point could be the difference between them playing Premier League football or not. So, yeah, for me, it needs sacking off. VAR needs putting in the bin. Let the referee the game. Let everybody have their opinions on the referee, and better train the referees and move on from there. Because I feel the correct decision with that Arsenal one was no goal, penalty for West Ham. But they've not been given penalties for them all season, and heading into the summer, they need to have a good reflection about the things that are happening in the penalty area. Because Man City are guilty of it, in particular on our defending of set pieces. All kinds of pulling, pushing, wrestling going on. Teams are doing it to us and we're doing it to them. In such big moments, if you're going to score off a set piece like West Ham did, you're going to be moaning and complaining that there's a foul. How many times do you see Donnarumma moaning about he thinks that he's been fouled? And how often do you hear me say that Donnarumma's got to be stronger? I always say about the goalkeeper is legally allowed to absolutely clatter players if they want to, with all of the wrestling that's going on. David Raya would be well within his right to have pushed the player out of the way who was grabbing his arm if he wanted to. So I could argue and say the keeper should be stronger. And then we go into the argument of, does the goalkeeper get too much protection or not? And then you start chucking, just this season, you start chucking examples of where it has been a foul and where it hasn't been a foul. It's these inconsistencies of what causes the frustration. And it all boils down to, for me, the frustrations are there because of VAR. You'd be frustrated about the referee. It's really frustrating, but it's borderline understandable. It's not understandable when you've got a second official who's having a look at it. And that's what VAR is. And for me, my conclusion was VAR's not made the game better. It slowed the game down. It's frustrating for fans in the stadium because they can't see what's going on. They've not microphoned up the referees in VAR so you can hear them out loud what they're saying. You know, watch sport like rugby and cricket. They mic up the official to speak through it. They've got margin for errors and things going on. They speak through everything that's been decided. Whereas football, it all just seems a bit secretive, which is why you hear people complaining about bias towards teams. And I 100% think there's bias towards teams. You know, I'm not going to sit here with blue-tinted glasses on. I think that sometimes Man City get some biased decisions towards us. I think we also, on the other side of the coin, get biased decisions that go really against us. And you look at the teams at the bottom always seem to be on the receiving end because a lot of the games that aren't really televised, that you don't really see and hear about, the referees and VAR let things slide more. Yet the big games, the ones that are broadcast live, that people are all watching, they don't. And it's just, for me, frustrating all round. Andy Man, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. There you go. They're my opinions on it. Right, guys, we're just 3 likes away from 50. Any help towards that would be great. Do subscribe as well if you're new around here. And do go and check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by My Best 11 Pro. Right, we're 26 minutes in. I said I wanted to see City scoring a couple of goals would be good. And, 2-0 up by in half an hour in and games, near enough wrapped up and we can think about goal difference and things. But it's just been a bit disjointed. Crystal Palace look good here for doing something. They're exposing Man City's high line time and time again. They're getting players forward. And City just seem to be struggling a little bit. Players look rusty. So it might take a bit of time and a bit of patience. Now this carries on. This gets to maybe 65, 70 minutes. The likes of Doku and Haaland and everyone, they'll get chucked on. Because City will want to win this game. It's just, I feel like this is our last chance to play catch-up on goal difference. Because I don't fancy that Man City are going to beat Bournemouth away by more goals than what Arsenal would beat Burnley at home. So, yeah. Anyway, free kick Crystal Palace. Ait-Nouri, heavier touch. Late on Brennan Johnson, he goes down, it's a free kick. He looks rusty, Ait-Nouri. He's not really featured the last couple of weeks. Is he trying to put a press on high up here? Richards sends it long. It's gobbled up by Marc Guehi. Foden dropping deeper. So Ait-Nouri is the one that's pushing further forward at the minute. Gethin, that's a good question. And obviously Haaland's top goal scorer. He'd be up there. Bernardo Silva would be right up there. I think he's had a really good, solid season. Abdukodir Khusanov, I think, deserves a special mention because I think he's been one of City's best defenders. I think Matheus Nunes deserves a mention. I think he's had a really good season. But, I mean, do I give it to Jeremy Doku? I think he's had an outstanding season for City. And I think he's got better as the season's gone on. And I could argue he's probably been Man City's best player this season. Certainly Man City's biggest danger that we've got when it comes to our attack. Yeah, I think, do you know what? I think I will. I'll probably go Doku. I think he's had a really good season. started to add the goals and assists to his game as well now. What's Doku looking like in terms of his statistics? Not that I like using statistics to identify how a player's performed, but it gives you a good indication. And he started to add them end products. 10 goal contributions in 27 games, and in particular in the second half of the season, I think Doku's been, for me, Man City's best player. And if Man City were a bit more clinical, Doku'd probably double his statistics as well. As he looked in the other comps. 5 assists in 4 appearances in the FA Cup. 1 goal in the Carabao Cup. 4 goal contributions across 9 games. So 4, 5, 10. What's that? 22 goal contributions this season in 43 games. I think it's a good return for Jezza. I think he'd be up there. Right, is Matheus Nunes coming forward for Manchester City? Seamus, it is the Youth FA Cup match tomorrow, the Youth Cup. City against United, of course, caused some controversy because Man City are playing here today. It's not being played at the Etihad Stadium, so they're playing it at the Joey Stadium instead, which is Man City's Academy Stadium, the stadium that the women's side use. I think it holds around 6,000 fans. Manchester United wanted it holding at Old Trafford because they got a crowd of over 60,000 there. And it's rubbed Man United up the wrong way. But Man City have the advantage of picking the location, so they don't want to lose the home advantage and send it to Old Trafford, so they want to play it instead at the Academy Stadium. That's a brilliant... Oh, there we go. Phil Foden with an assist and a half. Thomas Tuchel, are you watching? Antoine Semenyo with the goal, the opening goal here at the Etihad Stadium. Do you see that assist? It was Cherki-esque, a back heel. Lovely from Phil Foden, and a beautiful finish from the former Bournemouth man, Antoine Semenyo, and Manchester City lead by 1-0. Brilliant assist. All about the assist there from Philip. And that's exactly what we wanted to see. We'll do Semenyo the world of good, finding that goal, a good tidy finish that. It'll do Phil Foden the world of good. Let's have a look at this. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Restless, thanks for tuning in. Super stuff as we hit 50 likes as well, which is great. 49 to go. Any help towards that would be great, guys. And Antoine Semenyo gives Man City the lead. And as I said, now this is where you start thinking about trying to get that killer second goal. A Phil Foden assist and a half. Look how happy Phil is at that. Right, you're most vulnerable when you first scored. That's a shot that comes in and a good save from Donnarumma. Chuck, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Just about got the save, Donnarumma. Because it's so wet and the ball greasy, that could easily have gone into the back of the net with a simple shot on target. Right, some defending then for City to do here from the corner. Too close to Donnarumma and claims it second time. Odin, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Is a good, well-practiced goal. Here's Phil Foden. He'll buy Man City a free kick. And I feel like that's just the confidence boost that Phil needs. As I said, we need to make this the game of Phil Foden. Phil Foden wants to go to the World Cup with England. He's got to make this the game of Phil Foden. Phil Foden probably not going to start in the FA Cup, but, you know, if he puts in a man of the match performance, you know, scores goals and gets more assists in this game, he's probably going to come off the bench against Chelsea and he's going to get some minutes in the FA Cup final. If he can do something in the FA Cup final as well, all of a sudden Phil Foden's in a prime position about maybe being a regular for Man City before the season is up. And that could well be a way of Phil Foden going to the World Cup. Because, you just got to be playing on a regular basis. There's Will Hughes for Crystal Palace, who've looked very lively in this first half. Very, very lively. When I was offside and a free kick for Man City. Whew. Dave says Hearts 2 up, Celtic 1 down. Is that the SPFL trophy going to Hearts? If that stays the same? Seamus asking the big questions there. Has Donnarumma been a good signing, or has he kept a top keeper like Trafford out? I don't think Donnarumma's been a bad signing. I think we've just, it's taken a bit of adapting as fans to, adapt to life post-Ederson, which I always think was going to be quite difficult. But I'll give Donnarumma the benefit of the doubt. I'll give him the same thing that I say with all players. I feel like you've got to be at Man City for a couple of seasons before we start to see the very best. I do think Donnarumma he can improve and get better. I don't think we've seen the best of Gianluigi Donnarumma. I don't think we've seen the best. Odin, I'd like to. It just doesn't grow properly, unfortunately. It grows, but then it doesn't really grow properly. And once it starts going a bit out of place, and again, my facial hair tends to go a bit patchy. Once it starts to go patchy, it's got to shave off again. So, yeah, I think we've all seen how good Donnarumma was for PSG. We've seen him for Italy and how good he can be. We know how good he can be. And I feel like if we can see that Donnarumma that was so brilliant for PSG in the Champions League last season at Man City, there is no question that he will be the number one at City for many, many years to come. Odin says, I'm a bit... Well, I mean, you're not that much older than me. Here's Marmoush. One touch too many, Omar. One touch too many, and Lacroix can get across and put it out for a corner. He smiles there, Marmoush, but I think he'll be a bit frustrated with that. Savinho will be a bit frustrated because he feels like he probably should have had an assist. It's just one touch too many there. As soon as he turns his man, got to put his left foot through that for me. And he takes a touch with his left foot instead, and it invites Lacroix in to come and make the interception. Got to put his foot through it. Taylor, yeah, Donnarumma does need to be stronger on his dealing of set pieces. As I said, it might take him a second season for him to improve on that. He might go away over the summer and look to improve on that. I've said I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. There's no doubt he's a top quality goalkeeper. No doubt at all. Owen says, look, late. I mean, you're not too far off, late 20s. Try early 30s rather than late 20s, and you're not too far away. 31 in July. So, yeah. Dave, it's devastating. No longer ginger. You can get, if you can grow proper facial hair as a redhead, you get a real Viking look. Proper Viking look. Just won't grow properly for me. So. Kurt, no, I mean, I'd probably describe it as the biggest bedroom in the house. It's just, the whole house is under renovation at the minute. It's a project, a doer-upper is what we call it. So you'd be able to see, wires, electrics and stuff everywhere. It's needing more stripping out that you can't really see on the camera. It needs the electrics sorting out before we can get round to, making it look pretty. So, yeah. I recently moved house and moved into here. It's a beautiful home. Got bags and bags and bags of potential, but bags of potential means that, you've got to spend a lot of money as well. So it takes a bit of time and effort. So here comes Savinho. He's forced down. Well, to be fair, it looks like a basement. Was it like a basement? It's a chimney. There's one light that goes up there, which is why I said the electrics need sorting to bring some light in. The sun's setting, so it's not letting any light in through the windows over there. When it's letting light in through the windows, it doesn't look like a basement. I'm not even sure that this room's going to be permanently where I'm going to be based, to be honest. It'll look smart, trust me. When it gets done, it'll look smart. It's just a very big, very expensive job. So, bear with. But there's some exciting things that are coming. Oh, it's a good chip. Foden, good touch. Shoot! Yes! Marmoush with a second. It's a good finish from Omar Marmoush. He doesn't make the mistake that he just made a couple of weeks ago. Weeks? Losing the plot. A couple of minutes ago, where he takes the extra touch. He doesn't take the extra touch. He waits this time, just takes it across his body. Waits for that opportunity. Takes it first time, into the back of the net. Bam. 2-0 Manchester City. Job's a good one. And 2-0 Manchester City lead. Phil Foden there as well. He is cooking, isn't he? Clips it in towards Marmoush. It's a good chip. Who's that with a chip? I think Foden's going to get the assist. Second assist. I thought he were going to leave it for Savinho, but keeper just gets a little toe onto it and it still goes into the back of the net. It's a good goal from Marmoush. Come on, Burnley now, isn't it? We're all claret and blue. What was it? It was come on, you Irons. We'll go for, come on, you clarets. Right, we've got 5 minutes here where I feel like if we could get another goal, this game's done and dusted, and it can become a game of goal difference. Because if you can make this a game of goal difference with the changes that we've made, we're in a good position. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, because Crystal Palace have played a pretty good game. They've had opportunities. So, yeah. Who's kidnapped me? But if you want to donate to free JSGC, then feel free to send it direct to my bank. I can, tart the room up, make it look different, and say I'm in a different place. And I'm safe. Oh, can you imagine Taylor? A Kyle Walker screamer. Just a big 40-yard low effort. His once a game effort that he used to have for us, and it just never went in. And that one time against Arsenal for Burnley where he goes in, that'd be brilliant. Christian, welcome. Phil Foden is back and he's making things happen. That's going to be a corner for Manchester City. What a time to grab a third this would be. What a time to grab a third. Ait-Nouri takes the corner quickly. Guehi. Foden clips one in. Header! Oh, it's a great save. It was nearly 3 assists for Foden. Phil Foden is doing stuff here. Where has this Phil been all season as Bernardo gets one onto his left foot? Phil Foden's having a game and a half here, guys. That's just it. Thomas Tuchel will be watching this and he'll be thinking to himself, I want a player who, England are in a position in the World Cup, 20 minutes to go. We're struggling to make things happen. We're struggling to create. I need somebody to come in and do something. Where's Phil Foden for you? He's struggled so much this season, in particular in the second half of the season. And it's the first real glimpse that we've seen that Phil Foden is still there doing things. Oh, long ranger. Go on, Phil. He's gone for it. He's gone for it. Oh, headed clear. Gets clipped forward. Xanadu, yes. 100,000. We're not there yet. We're nearly at 50, so we're nearly halfway. Get to 100,000, I'll go and I'll jump out of a plane to celebrate, because I just never thought that I'd get there. I'm still not there, but here we are. I said it was like a monumental achievement. 100,000 subscribers is a big number, real big number. There's not loads of people, loads of channels with 100,000. 100,000 is a very serious number. Chance here for Crystal Palace, and they've got the pass wrong, and Nunes mops that one up. Here's Marmoush, dropping deep, does well, finds his pass to Ait-Nouri. Can he centralise it? Of course he can. Bernardo, Ait-Nouri nearly gave it away. Bernardo, offside flag up now. Right. Oh, this second half of the first half has been far more entertaining than the first half of this first half, as Ait-Nouri's down in a bit of pain. That first assist. A good hit into the back of the net. Let's say Josko Gvardiol, I think, with a chip. A little flick from Foden to put it in the path of Marmoush and find the second goal. And job's a good one. Right, we've got 1 minute. Can we get a third in this minute? Now, what's the motivation here for Crystal Palace? They're the questions. Anyway, guys, don't forget, leave a thumbs up. Just 3 likes away from 60. Any help towards that would be great. Do subscribe and do go and check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by My Best 11 Pro, as we at the final 20 seconds of this first half. Man City lead by 2-0. Might be one last chance if City can get something into the box very quickly. They can't. Ait-Nouri's pass is inaccurate, and there's a handball, and that was going to be the half-time whistle as well. Phil Foden there running the show for Manchester City. It's been a good first half of football, and I want to say more of the same, please, for the second half. Obviously, we've got players who are going to be rested and rotated probably over the next 15-20 minutes of the second half. I imagine Josko Gvardiol will want to be protected. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him come off and Nathan Ake come on. I wouldn't be surprised to see... Khusanov's just back from injury. Maybe he comes off. I imagine City will just want the assurance of a third, just that the game's all done and dusted and wrapped up before they start thinking about making any more changes. So we will see. We will see. Right. Let's have a look at the statistics then for this game. Manchester City currently 2 goals up, 9 shots, 3 on target, 2 goals, an outrageous save from Dean Henderson to stop it from being a third, and another assist for Phil Foden. 330 passes for Manchester City at a pass completion rate of 91%. Crystal Palace with just 24% possession. Still managed 3 shots, 1 on target. Probably should have come away with a goal. They haven't. Just 96 passes for them at a 75% pass completion rate. But still not looked bad. And 2-0 is a very dangerous scoreline. Crystal Palace come out in the second half. First 10-15 minutes, find a goal and half the deficit. All of a sudden, we're not all sat here laughing, joking, smiling. It becomes a very serious matter. So we've got a job to do to try and get this killed off into the second half. As it stands right now, we're 2 points behind Arsenal with the same amount of games played. We've got the same goal difference, and we've scored more goals than Arsenal by 6. So that could be a potential deciding factor come the end of the season. It might be, it might not be. So you've just got to try and keep it alive. And considering we scored a couple here and kept a clean sheet in the first half, ideally, I would like us to go out and score another goal or 2 in the second half and try and keep that clean sheet. Because if we can win this game, let's say we repeat what we've done here in the first half and we score a couple more goals and we win 4-0, with the amount of rest that we've given players as well, would be nothing short of outstanding. It puts 2 goal difference on us, and it says to Arsenal that you can't afford to drop any more points because we've currently got you on goal difference. So if Arsenal do end up dropping any points and Man City win out, we're then guaranteed to have 4 goals on Arsenal because we'll beat Bournemouth by at least 1 and Villa by at least 1. Arsenal have dropped points, so they've made no gains on goal difference. And if we score a couple more here, we'd be on +4 on Arsenal. So it means that Arsenal, to overtake Man City, would need a 5-goal win against Burnley or Crystal Palace for them to allow them to draw, but still win the Premier League. So, are Arsenal capable of 5-0? I wouldn't have thought they'd beat Crystal Palace away from home 5-0, but stranger things have happened. And again, I wouldn't rule that out happening with Arsenal against Burnley. But what tends to happen, and this is what I think is going to happen in Arsenal's games against both Burnley and against Crystal Palace, is Arsenal need to win them games, the must-win games. It won't be a case of Arsenal going out all guns blazing, scoring 4 or 5 goals in the space of 50 minutes. It's not going to be like that. It's just going to be a case of win this game and move on. And I can see them being potentially quite boring but professional games. And Arsenal are quite a patient team. If they have to wait until the 82nd minute like they did against West Ham to find the goal, they will do so. They don't want to lose that focus. They'll be happy. Arsenal right now would be happy to go to the 82nd minute again against Burnley and 1-0 that match. They'd be more than happy with that because all that matters is they pick up the 3 points. But if you start dipping into, you're giving your opponent a chance to maybe take points off you and you blow the Premier League, that's a very dangerous game to play. And that's the position that Man City want to find ourselves in. That's what we want to try and do here, is if Arsenal just find themselves against either Burnley or against Crystal Palace in a position where it's 0-0 at half-time, we could be in business. Because your season's a 45-minute season. It's a cup final. You've got to find a goal. You've got to win this game. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, it's unlikely it's going to happen, but it could, because when it comes to Premier League title races, they're anything but straightforward. There's always twists and turns and drama. See Man City against Aston Villa a few years back to win the Premier League. See Man City against Queen's Park Rangers. Things never tend to go how you think that they're going to go. So we've just got to try and be as professional as possible. And in doing so, just got to try and focus and win this game. Can win this game and score some more goals, then, we've done everything we can. And it's all about then what happens in terms of Arsenal, and it's back over to them. And if Arsenal, we want to be in a position where Arsenal got to win both them games. If Arsenal win both them games, we can all sit here, we'll hold our hands up and say, Arsenal have been on their response from losing to Man City to go on the run that they've gone on under pressure, keep Man City at bay and do what they needed to do whilst also reaching a Champions League final. It's to be admired. It's to be appreciated because it's not an easy thing to do. And these have been the big questions for Arsenal. Something Arsenal's really struggled over the last couple of seasons on is getting over the line and showing that quality and showcasing that they're mature enough and they're responsible enough and they're accountable enough and they've got the know-how to get the job done. All good experience for them. So we've just got to try and do what we can do to then ask them questions again of Arsenal. And if Arsenal can respond to them, then we can sit here and say, we've done everything we can. We've got north of 80 points. Arsenal have held us off. They've done what they've needed to do under pressure, as well as, like I said, reaching a Champions League final. And you just go, fair credit. They've done it. They've managed to get over the line and they're over that psychological advantage. Who knows where the Arsenal team can go from there. But from Manchester City's point of view, it's a case that, we're looking at a team over the last couple of years who, when under pressure, when, the going gets tough, really struggle. So if we can get them in there for the remaining 2 games in them positions, you just never know. Can Burnley pull off a surprise and keep Arsenal at bay? Can Crystal Palace do so? Maybe. We'll put them back in a position where Arsenal just can't afford to blink. And that's what we've got to do. And through doing so, you've got to make gains on them points. Win your game in hand. Got to try and win it comfortably. And if we can, try and keep this clean sheet intact. Try and score some more goals in this second half. And if we can go and add another goal or two and keep that clean sheet intact, we've done everything we can to get Arsenal under pressure. It's then a case for Arsenal probably not even going to start thinking about goal difference. They're just going to be thinking about winning their games, which could be a dangerous way to go about things. It might be Arsenal's way of going about things. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, don't forget, leave a thumbs up. Just 40 likes away from 100. Any help towards that would be much appreciated. Also, don't forget to get your thoughts in the live chat. What have you made of the first half performance from Manchester City, in particular from Phil Foden himself? Is he back? Absolutely outstanding. Do let me know in the live chat. Also, don't forget as well to subscribe to my channel. It is free to subscribe. Going to keep you guys up to date with all the latest Man City content here on YouTube. So if you haven't done so already, do subscribe. Social media links there in the description if you want to go and follow me on my X, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. And finally, do go and check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by My Best 11 Pro. Links and details there in the description. A big thank you to My Best 11 Pro for sponsoring today's live stream. Remember, a free app to download. They've got their pools available for the end of the season Premier League finale, both Fantasy Arena and their predictions. Go and check them out. £1 to enter for each of them pools. Both pools worth £100, paying up to the top 5 places. I'm in. Are you? Go and check it out. Links and details there in the description. And a big thank you to My Best 11 Pro for sponsoring today's live stream. Remember, these live streams, they don't happen without sponsors. So I would appreciate anybody checking them out, as it does help not just My Best 11 Pro, but also helps me as well. Right, I do have some half-time entertainment for you guys to enjoy whilst I go and grab myself another drink, ready to keep refreshed, ready ahead of the second half. This is brought to you by my partner channel, Mix Sid. Go and check him out. Links and details there in the description. He's continued his Alchemist series and he's done the Nespresso Martini. It's a take on the Espresso Martini. Very well made, very bougie, very posh, very good video as well. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and I'll see you for the second half.
What's going on, guys? Mixed here, back again for another Alchemist cocktail, as it's cocktail number 3 in this series, of the Cosmic Cocktails series. So this one, it is the Alchemist take on the very famous Espresso Martini, but this one is their take on it with a nice molecular touch with it, as you'll see what I mean with that. So with this, it is the Nespresso Martini. Let's get straight into it. So to make the Nespresso Martini, what we have to do now is get our shaker and put in 45 ice cubes. So again, it's English measurements, so I'm going to use a more of an Americanized one, so I'm going to be rounding up to the nearest ounce rather than 25ml. So what we're going to do now is, it's going to be 30ml or 1 ounce of a vodka rather than 25ml. Next, 50ml or half an ounce of salted caramel syrup. In terms of a coffee liqueur, this is one of my favourites. I absolutely love Kahlua. So next, 15ml or half an ounce of a coffee liqueur or Kahlua. Next is 1.5 ounce or 45ml of espresso. So this is freshly brewed, but it's nice and chilled. Put your lid on and now give it a good hard shake for 30 seconds. So it's going to be a long shake, this one, and you'll see why. So it's going to be a longer shake because we want to create a nice foam, so we're going to shake this a lot longer. So what we're going to do is get our coupe glass, put that to one side and give it a good hard shake. now comes the tricky bit. So the final thing. Now we're going to take our cocktail game to the next level. So what we're going to do is garnish it with a chocolate spoon. So 1 chocolate spoon I've already made. So that's the garnish. But you can see I've made some salted caramel caviar. As you can see, doesn't that look absolutely gorgeous? Taking our cocktail game to the next level. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know how to make salty caramel caviar, just let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to show you how to make this nice delicacy, as it all can be eaten, but what a garnish that is. That is taking the espresso martini to the next level. Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen, one Nespresso martini. But the presentation, doesn't it look a 10 out of 10 already? It's a shame to even touch this cocktail with the garnish, but I cannot wait to try it. It looks absolutely delicious. It looks beautiful. And this is what the cocktails is all about. It's why I got into cocktails. I absolutely love it. It's why I fell in love with cocktails. It's why it's my big hobby. Well, cheers everyone. And that is one of the nicest espresso martinis I've ever had. And I'm not just saying that, that is absolutely beautiful. I've got a sweet tooth and this ticks all the boxes. I love my coffee, I love the sweet salt caramel. And the garnish alone, everything about it screams mix it screams me. I just love it. The attention to detail, the taste, the craftsmanship. It's absolutely beautiful and I recommend that you make this drink. I really recommend it. It's a 10 out of 10, or should I say an 11 out of 10. This is a Nespresso martini. It's a hit. I love it. But if you want, just let me know guys if you want me to show you how to make some of these ingredients. I know they're not easy to make, especially with the salted caramel caviar, as it's more of a culinary, because it goes into the culinary, so molecular side of cocktail making. So it's a bit more advanced, a bit more difficult to make, but I can show you guys how to make it. Because if you want to up your cocktail game, just let me know and I will happily make a video for you. But now we're going to cocktail number 4, as we're going to take our cocktail game to the next level. So we're going to do it even better for the next one. It's one that I've been looking at. It's going to be a trifle. So yes, there's a trifle cocktail and I cannot wait to make that. And I cannot wait to try it, because just to see how it turns out. I've got all the ingredients, so it's ready to go. As the next one will be the trifle cocktail, and I will see you guys for the next one. But if you're new around here, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to Mix It for more alchemist cocktails like this, more outrageous cocktails, more beautiful things in life, and I will see you for the next cocktail video. This is Mix It, and I will see you next time. Cheers. Very bougie, but this is the start of a new chapter. Cheers everyone.
And a big thank you to Mixed for providing today's halftime entertainment. Do go check him out. Links and details, they are in the delicious. I'm reading Mullen's comment there. They're in the description. It did look very delicious. Yeah. Very delicious. Very well made. So kudos there to Mixed. As I said, do go and check him out. Right, we've got kick-off here for the second half. I don't think Man City have made any changes from what I can see. I was wondering about if Josko Gvardiol may come off at half time, but maybe the plan is here just to get him maybe another 15-20 minutes and then bring him off. I imagine Pep Guardiola has probably told the players to try and score one more. I think if City can get a third, then you're going to see more changes made, in particular those players who haven't been rotated today, who will come off. That's going to be a corner for Manchester City then, early here in the second half. Man City's last home game, this one, before the new North Stand expansion opens. Just waiting for the safety certificates, which Man City have got an event on next week to get the safety certificates ready for that to open for the final game against Aston Villa. So, final home game without that expansion hopefully being open. There's a bit of wrestling going on in the Premier League, and Marc Guehi's penalised with tussle with Will Hughes, and free kick given to Crystal Palace, which Guehi's pleading his innocence there. I don't know if he's telling the referee he thought he was foul. Pep Guardiola looks a bit frustrated, having a moan to the fourth official. Dean Henderson then it is to take. He's just going to launch this one forward. Header should be won by Foden, and is. Mopped up by Crystal Palace. City want an offside flag. Linesman's flag stays down. Nunes will mop that one up. Not the best of passes from Nunes. Takes a deflection, and it does mean that Crystal Palace can win the ball back here in the Manchester City half. Getting work to the left-hand side. Here you've got Mitchell. Nah, that's going to be offside. Drink spilling everywhere. Oops. Oh, it's Coca-Cola that as well. I should probably get that one wiped up. I'll just wait for the ball to go out of play and I'll get that cleaned up. Ball gets floated forward. Keeper will collect that. In fact, while the keeper's collected that, I'll go and clean that up. Geffen likes to go for a shower, and City always score when that happens. So there we are. Right, just bear with me 1 minute. Hope I didn't miss much. Ugh. Back. Right, corner. Ait-Nouri to take. Header nearly won by Semenyo. Good defending from Palace, though. Again, a bit more tussling going on between Palace and Manchester City. There we go. Sorted. Right. Yeah, it's a nightmare to clean off the desk when you spill Coca-Cola. Nightmare. So that needed cleaning up ASAP because you leave that to set and it's obviously very syrupy like it'll not only stain but nightmare just to get off as well. Comes a big job when you can just give it a quick wipe and it's reet. Right, here's Josko Gvardiol coming forward to some space here on the left-hand side. Tries to work it through the centre. Not the best of options there from Josko Gvardiol. Intercepted by Crystal Palace. Only momentarily, though, because they've given the ball straight back. And here is Phil Foden now to Josko Gvardiol. Gives the ball to Bernardo Silva. Abdukodir Khusanov now to Bernardo. Here's Foden. Khusanov works it to the right for Nunes. Here's Savinho to Marmoush. Back to Savinho. Oh, lovely from Savinho. Really well worked from Savinho. Advantage played for Manchester City. No real advantage here. Palace continue to put the pressure on. Ball gets worked to the left-hand side. Ait-Nouri takes it down well, and I think that'll be a throw-in for Manchester City. Referee's gone back to the original foul, and the yellow card is out. Good referee in that. Stuart Atwell, I think, is referee for today's game. Good referee in that. Goes back to the earlier incident, the foul on Savinho. Slightly over the top of the ball, studs on top of the foot. His foot's not in like a kicking motion. His studs are always down. Not much that Tyreek Mitchell can do about it, and he is into the book. Yellow card for him. Got to be careful for the remainder of the game. Bernardo Silva just up and over, launches one forward. Dean Henderson will take control of the football. Since he got the substitutes warming up. Not really too much to report on here. A couple of set pieces taken in by Manchester City. Other than that, no real talking points for this second half. I think it's more just Manchester City trying to be patient, waiting for an opportunity for an effort on goal. Ball gets launched forward. Bernardo and Foden do very well to win the ball back. Here's Marc Guehi. Gives the ball to Abdukodir Khusanov. Here's Bernardo Silva now. To Khusanov. Guehi once more. Here's Matheus Nunes. Works it to the right-hand side for Savinho. Here's Marmoush. It's a heavier touch there from Omar Marmoush. Although, is that Savinho helping to win it back? Does well. Palace again do well just to mop up. Bit scrappy that. Here's Will Hughes then. Gives the ball to Richards. Worked to the right-hand side where he's got Munoz. Worked back to Richards. They'll go all the way back to LaCroix. And they'll look to build it now on the left-hand side. Seamus. They're the big questions, aren't they? I don't know. Man City originally pushed for... They wanted Bournemouth today and Crystal Palace next week. And the Premier League said no. And I was like, right, okay, fair enough. They want this game playing first, even though they allowed us to play Burnley, even though it was postponed after the game against Crystal Palace had been postponed. But it made no sense in terms of the scheduling. All I can think of is that because it's the Europa League final that Wednesday night, that I don't know if, because it's a European final, UEFA's told all the European coefficients not to be playing any games on that day. I don't know if there's any other European games in the domestic leagues that are taking place that day, but I presume that might be the case. But if that is the case, I'd have definitely preferred for that Bournemouth game, because we're playing against Aston Villa at home on the Sunday, surely the choice would be to play on the Tuesday or Thursday. And I'd have preferred to have played Bournemouth, I think, on the Thursday night and had extra recovery going into that Bournemouth game. You know, playing on 5 days of rest for Bournemouth away is much better than playing on 3 days of rest. It's not even 3 days, is it? So, I don't know. I feel like the Premier League they purposefully do this to try and make it as awkward and as difficult as possible. They do it when they've got Champions League games. Chuck, I reckon it's more likely against Crystal Palace just because it's an away game. I don't think they'll drop points against either, to be honest. I'd be surprised. Bit of a banana skin against Burnley. And, I feel like there's a chance that Burnley could do something, but I don't think that they are. I feel like Crystal Palace is the one, if Crystal Palace can hold firm. And Crystal Palace have shown here, they're still in this game. They have caused City problems, and they had Crystal Palace being clinical and scored first, like they maybe should have early on. This would be a whole different ball game, and that it might be the case against Arsenal as well. Crystal Palace are going to heavily rotate ahead of the Europa Conference League final, but If they end up, don't want the players to be too rusty, that they've all had too much of a rest and they're not competitive anymore. It serves them no purpose just in the preparation for the Europa Conference League, losing every single game from the semi-final through to the final doesn't serve a purpose. So I think they're going to be competitive. They'll put up a fight. So I feel like that's the game, and especially if Man City can, get the claims on goal difference, get past the difficult Bournemouth away game, I feel like Arsenal are going to be looking at it and go, right, we're just in a simple straight shootout here. It's a simple case of beat Crystal Palace away or we don't win the Premier League. So I reckon Crystal Palace is the more trickier one. I don't see Arsenal not getting the job done against both. As Matheus Nunes is going to come off here and Nathan Ake is going to come on. There's going to be a little bit of a change here at the back. So Khusanov will go at right back. Guehi will go in as right centre-back. Ake is centre of the left back. And Ait-Nouri going in as the left back, as Josko Gvardiol is also going to come off in place of Jeremy Doku. So Doku's going to go into a more advanced attacking position here. Good return for Josko Gvardiol. I said he'll try and get 45 to 60 minutes out of him. We've got 57.5 minutes out of him. Seems to have responded really well. He's done really well. He's in contention for the cup final. He's in contention for Bournemouth. He's in contention for the Villa game. And probably more importantly for Croatia and probably for Josko Gvardiol as well. It's all about proving his fitness ahead of the World Cup to say, I'm back and I'm raring to go. Right. Corner then for Manchester City. Foden puts a corner in. Semenyo tries to take a touch. Can't properly take the touch. Jeremy Doku with a heavier touch will help. I said it will help Bernardo win the foot race, but Jeremy Doku beats Bernardo to the foot race as well. Yeah, Chuck, I agree. Because Arsenal don't score loads of goals and are in a position where maybe they don't need to think about goal difference. They just need to think about winning. That they'll be more than happy to 1-0, 2-0 games and keep things close as long as they win. They're not forced. Like West Ham game, they're not bothered. It takes the 82nd minute for them to score a goal and win the game. They're not bothered. They just care about winning 3 points. And I feel like that's when you're in business. If one of Burnley or Crystal Palace can get, or both, there could be a chance here for City. Here's Semenyo to Foden. Gets it to Ait-Nouri. 1 pass too many. Marmoush has a shot. To Doku now. 1 pass too many there. There's there to be hit for Rayan Ait-Nouri as Marmoush has a shot and it's scuffed and goes wide. I feel like if Palace and or Burnley can get Arsenal to 0-0 at half time, we're going to be thinking to ourselves, and they'll be thinking to themselves as well, you're in business. So the question is, can any of them teams get there? Right, Crystal Palace are going to make 3 changes. Seamus FA Cup matches on Saturday. Job to be done there as well. See if we can get it done. I feel like we just got to focus one game at a time. Focus one game at a time and see where we go from there. Right, some changes for Palace then. Pino, Hughes and Mateta come off. Larson, Wharton and Sarr all come on. So some changes chucked on by Palace. Fancy it's the kind of the last roll of the dice for them, really. We could really do with just trying to grab a goal. Dave, I'm off to Wembley, so no live watch along on Saturday, unfortunately. I was lucky enough to be able to bag tickets for it. So doing what I did for the League Cup final, cheering Manchester City on at the ground and hoping, fingers crossed, we can get the job done. So no live watch along, but I will be back on Tuesday evening for the game against Bournemouth. Palace could be in here. Donnarumma gets behind it and does well. So yeah, no live watch along, unfortunately. Next one will be 6 days' time, Bournemouth away. Who knows? Burnley might take points off Arsenal. We might be saying to ourselves, we've got a chance to go top. If things go well, we'll see. Here's Phil Foden. Still got half an hour or so remaining here. Don't forget, guys, leave a thumbs up. Now, 31 likes away from 100. Any help towards that would be great. Do subscribe and do go check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by My Best 11 Pro. Links and details there in the description, or you can use the link in the live chat, or you can use the QR code on screen. Right, here's Abdukodir Khusanov then. Works the ball to Savinho. Marc Guehi now. Let's have a look at the bench and who Man City might go for to bring on. I just realised Nico O'Reilly's not on the bench. I thought he was on the bench. I don't know why Nico O'Reilly's not on the bench. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know what's gone on there. I'm not sure. Anyway, Palace, they could be in a game here. And it's a tame effort there. Ismaila Sarr with the effort, and Donnarumma can make the save. I think Man City just need to stop being so lackadaisical here, really, and allowing Palace back in. You don't want to give them a route back into the game. You know, we're in a good position here. We're 2-0 up. We've caught Arsenal's goal difference up. We've got a chance here over the next 30 minutes to try and make some gains, secure these 3 points, and make more gains on that goal difference. That's what we've got to try and do for the next 30 minutes. That's got, for me, to be the focus. Good ball from Foden to find Savinho. Everything just seems to be sticking for him. Andy Man, I'm not too sure what Pep's going to do next. As Semenyo drives to the touchline, puts the ball across. Doku will mop that one up on the left-hand side. Palace trying to double-team Jeremy Doku. He just gives the ball to Nathan Ake. Here's Doku once more. No one wants to let Doku out of their sight, so they're looking just to double team him, rather. Phil Foden, heavy on Phil Foden, but referee says no free kick, and he'll give a free kick against Phil Foden there instead. Seamus got the youths, men's and women's teams all in finals, all doing very well, which is fantastic to hear. Hopefully the City youth team can make it happen tomorrow, and the women's side can win the FA Cup as well. That would be absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Chuck. And thank you very much, Andy Man, as well. Yeah, Andy Man, Pep stay in. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. I've just, as I said before at the beginning of the stream, I just every time I've pictured Pep leaving, I've pictured him leaving with, you know, a Champions League or a Premier League trophy in his hand and him doing a very emotional speech on the pitch. I don't picture him leaving with Arsenal finishing first and him finishing second. So, we'll see. Chuck, I've said before, Doku for me is one of Man City's player of the season, if not City's player of the season. He's been outstanding. Geffin says, there you go, Geffin. Not to be today. We didn't concede, though. So, yeah. City just, I don't know. We looked a bit off here in this second half at the minute. Free kick given against Marc Guehi, against his former side. What was that? Oh, there you go. I was let out the basement. No, it's just our bedroom's next door. There was a loud thud in there, so I was wondering what was going on. It's all good. It's all good. Just something had fallen over. Nothing's broken, nothing's damaged, it's all good. Right, there's Marc Guehi then for Manchester City. Sends the ball forward. Adam Wharton gets that under control. Pings the ball forward. Nobody there, and Donnarumma will collect. Right, this has been a bit lackadaisical from City this second half. I'd like to see us get back into gear again. I imagine Crystal Palace chasing the game will want to try and come forward in these remaining 20 minutes or so, because there's something in it for them. They can find the next goal. They're back in this game. So they will start to open up. So there will be space. So this is where we've got to be careful. I'm confident there's goals coming in this second half. It's just a case of which way is it going to go, who's going to score next. Next goal is very important. We're on a fight to keep hold of 3 points if Palace score next. If we can score next, I think that's the game done and dusted, and it means we're, more than likely going to have a better goal difference than Arsenal heading into the final 2 games. Here's Marc Guehi. Pings the ball forward, looking for Marmoush. Header won by Lacroix only as far as Semenyo. He's had a good game today, Semenyo, I think. Some people have been getting on his back. Don't like it when new signings come in and people get on the backs. I always say, give him a couple of seasons, see how they get on before you start, judging too much. Here's Doku. Under pressure, finds Nathan Ake. Doku once more. Tries to thread his pass forward, looking for Semenyo. Can't find him. Wharton finds his pass. Slightly heavier pass, but will be mopped up by Crystal Palace. Richards will take his opportunity to send it forward. Bernardo gets his head onto it. That's brilliant work from Phil Foden. Here's Marmoush to Savinho. Foden can't get it under control. He goes down. He wants a free kick. Referee says no free kick. And Palace can get on with it once more. Here's Adam Wharton. So good ball forward there from Adam Wharton. He's got, is that Johnson with a ball into the box? Not a very good ball in though. Onto the top of the roof of the net and out for a goal kick to Manchester City. Adam Wharton with a good pinged ball forward. Outside of his foot as well. Adam Wharton, of course, linked with a move to Manchester City. Very much, he's not seen as Man City's top priority target, I don't think. But, with him being homegrown and in a position that Man City might be looking at in the summer. Elliot Anderson's not a gimme for Man City. And, always question marks over Rodri's new contract. Although, some encouraging news coming out today that he might be set to sign a new contract at Man City. And who knows what's going on with Nico Gonzalez. That, if we end up losing a defensive midfielder, there could be an opening for a homegrown defensive midfielder to be brought in. And Adam Wharton, I think, would be probably a name that's up on the lists that's very high for a lot of top Premier League teams, including Manchester City. So we'll see. Here is Marc Guehi. The point I was trying to make with that, by the way, was Adam Wharton knows that teams are watching him and he'll want to put in an impressive performance again. That's good work from Nathan Ake. Good cover work. Bernardo will just go back to Gianluigi Donnarumma in goal, and we enter into the final 20 minutes. AN, thanks for tuning in. Tuning in from LA. Very nice. Imagine the weather's a bit nicer in LA than what it is in the northwest of England right now. A lot of rain in Manchester today. Wind's been blustering. I saw this morning it was 6 degrees Celsius and felt like -1. It's May. Feels like -1 outside. Good ball from Donnarumma. Here's Phil Foden then for Man City in midfield. He's got Ait-Nouri in support. He's going to look to bring Man City forward now. And he just slows it down and it allows Palace to get all the players back, but gives City a bit more control, is what Bernardo would say. There you go. To 70-odd degrees Fahrenheit, 21 degrees Celsius. Sunny in Los Angeles. Very nice. Here is Jeremy Doku. He's got Ait-Nouri on the overlap. He pings the ball into the box looking for Semenyo. Headed clear by Crystal Palace, and they're going to look to try and Charge forward through Ismaila Sarr. Here's Munoz now. Works it to Wharton. Some options here on the left. Mitchell looks to bring... It's not the best of passes forward into Johnson. Johnson looks a bit frustrated. He's not really been involved too much in this game as of late. Not really been involved all that much. Chuck says, well, I check out the Bernardo and Stones pub. I've seen it, yeah. They've been rebranding. If I get some time to check it out, I will check it out, yeah. Gone with the picture of the famous Gallagher brothers in the 90s with the Man City tops on. Like a little recreation. I bet they're charging a lot for a pint in there. Now that I know everyone's speaking about it. Manchester City Centre is not the cheapest place for a drink, to be fair. Once you see something that's going viral and people talking about it, there you go. Shane says, well, I'll be installing a media room. I'm thinking more like a studio rather than a media room. But yeah, that's the plan. It's just that obviously a lot of the budget at the minute is going towards other priority areas. And, you know, as much as I'd say that YouTube for me is very much a priority. You know, obviously the stuff that you need to live day by day kind of takes the priority. Sorts out your electric, sorting out your plumbing. You know, make sure your bedroom's nice and cozy. You know, my official workspaces and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a slow burner, but we'll get there. We'll get there. It takes time. It takes a lot of money. Chuck, I've been to New York City. I can vouch for that. I know that's not the cheapest of places for a drink either. Right, corner then for Crystal Palace. 17 minutes remaining. Still in this game, Palace. Corner comes in, too close to Donnarumma. Does well there, collects it, and he goes down. Doesn't ask for a free kick, to be fair. He's just interested in rolling it out, and Foden here can bring it forward then to Jeremy Doku. Ait-Nouri's going in on the overlap. I think now's a good time for Man City just to kill this off with 15 minutes or so remaining. Makes us all feel much better knowing that we're getting 3 points. We're going 2 points behind, and we'll see what the remainder of the 15 minutes brings. Is Savinho. Can't find his pass. Will get Man City a throw-in, though. Thank you, Seamus. Much appreciated. Right, guys. Well, we're into the last 60 minutes or so of the game. It's doable to get to 100 likes, you know. 27 away. Any help towards that, guys, would be much appreciated. And do subscribe and do go check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by My Best 11 Pro. Links and details there in the description. Fourth change of the game. No surprise here to see Brennan Johnson coming off for Crystal Palace. I don't think he's had his best of games. And he's going to come off, so we'll see how Kamada gets on. He's had a good season, the Japanese international for Crystal Palace. Number 18. Khusanov then is going to take the throw-in for Manchester City. Throws it into the box. Richards gets his head onto it, and that'll go out of play for another throw-in for Manchester City. So City are going to prepare. Is this our final 2 changes? How many changes have we made? Brought Doku on. And we brought Ake on. That's 2. So third and fourth change for Man City incoming. Kovacic is one of them. Andy Man asking for an early prediction in the World Cup. It's difficult. I struggle, to be honest, to see past. For me, I want to be optimistic and say 4 teams and include England in that. But I'd be very surprised if England won the World Cup this summer. So I think it's, for me, a toss-up between Spain, France and Argentina. I don't know why, but I've just got a feeling that Argentina are doing back-to-back. Don't think Brazil will do much. Got a good manager in Ancelotti, but I don't think they'll do much. James says, thoughts on the Chelsea game on Saturday? I feel like there's more pressure on Man City than Chelsea. You know, Chelsea have got low expectations. They'll expect Man City to win that game, which I don't like. I'll be honest. You know, I like us to go toe for toe with teams who you think can do something against us, and you end up with a good quality football match. Enzo Fernandez, the big danger there, but I reckon, I'm confident we can beat Chelsea. I'm confident we can turn up and play to the best of our ability. I'm confident we can win that game. Andy, man, I don't see Belgium winning it. Belgium just, never seem to turn up in the big moments, do they? So I don't see. Germany, I don't see it either. I said Brazil might be one to keep an eye out for. That's a good ball from Savinho. Really good ball. There's Semenyo then. He's got 3-on-3. Oh, it's a terrible pass. That's an awful pass. Adam Wharton wouldn't have dreamed of an easier interception. Easier. But, oh my word. Portugal's a good shout. It depends. If Ronaldo's going to try and make it the me show, I don't think they'll go very far. But if we can be more of a team player and let let Portugal make it all about their quality that they've got. They've got quality all over the pitch. Is Sarr. That's equally as a bad a pass that Semenyo just did, that Sarr just did. I don't even know who that was to. And that goes out of play. Right then. Kovacic and Cherki are going to come on. Firstly, it's going to be Omar Marmoush that's going to come off for, I think, Rayan Cherki. So no striker here for Man City. I imagine it'll be Semenyo and Doku, or Semenyo and Foden that will lead the line. And Bernardo Silva's going to come off for Mateo Kovacic. Good to see Kovacic once more. There is 9 international games. Some good lineups. Good ones in the UK. I'm not going to be going to the UK ones this year, unfortunately. Otherwise, I mean, that Philadelphia Eagles coming over to the UK looks very tasty. Got some good teams, actually. Washington are coming over. Jacksonville normally come over, doing 2 games in the UK. Not too sure why they're not doing the Irish game this year. There we go. Odin not too happy with the 2-0. I'd just like to see Man City score another goal or 2 would be good. This game will open up because the Palace are still in it, so I think there's going to be another goal. At least another goal in this. Here's Savinho. Space is opening up. Here's Foden. Finds Kovacic. Gives the ball to Savinho. Guehi. Gives the ball to Nathan Ake. Here's Doku. Back to Ake. Yeah, so you've got Washington coming over. Is it Pittsburgh that's coming over? Jacksonville are doing 2 games. Philadelphia here and Houston are here. Sorry, it's Indianapolis, not Pittsburgh. Is Pittsburgh in Madrid? Kamara's booked. Was that for him? I weren't watching. I was too busy looking at the NFL. Makes it, I'd like to see a 3rd Man City goal as well. Right, let's have a look at this. What happened here? Ball went back to Donnarumma. Pass isn't great. Gives it away. Challenge comes in from Kovacic. Referee's blown. And he said he's not made contact and he's chucked himself to the ground. Simulation, yellow card. Minimal in it. And he goes down. The yellow card. I don't think VAR will get involved in that. Poor pass there from Donnarumma. Final substitution this for Palace. Clyne's going to come on for Munoz. John Stones is about to come on for Man City. I'd really like to see a third goal as well. It's going to be Phil Foden. He's had a... Is it Phil Foden that's coming off? He's got the captain's armband. He's going to take his captain's armband off. It's going to be Phil Foden that comes off, and it's going to be John Stones that comes on for Manchester City. I think John Stones is just going to go more into defensive midfield. It's a little kiss off Phil Foden there. John Stones, again, another player that's going to be looking to try and prove his fitness ahead of the World Cup. I like that from Mr. Alishmari. I don't care who they are, wherever English teams are playing in Europe, I want them to win. So come on Villa, come on Palace, come on PSG. Oh, that's a good ball forward. Here's Larson. He could be in, and it's a shot that's over the top of the crossbar. And Palace have had their opportunities here today. They've had their opportunities. I wonder if Man City's philosophy here is to not discourage Crystal Palace. You know, if we end up beating them 4 or 5-0, we know for a fact that they're going to be so demotivated ahead of the game against Arsenal that, you know, they might not try. So if we don't beat them by too many, just a couple of goals, had some chances, could have been different on another day, and think, you know what, you know, maybe you can take confidence from this game and you can do something against Arsenal. Maybe that's Man City's approach. I don't know. I'd prefer for us just to score goals. Here's Cherki. Good ball through to Savinho! And there's the third. And Savinho feels like he needed that. A huge sigh of relief from Savinho. A lot of frustration there for him. A beautiful assist for Rayan Cherki. And a good finish from Savinho. And it's 3-0 Manchester City. Manchester City on their way to 3 points. The question now is, we've got time. We're +1 on Arsenal on goal difference. Can we get another? Get them under pressure for that game against Burnley. Make it be a case that they can't rely on the goal difference. You know, make it a game where they're just thinking about winning rather than thinking about winning and winning big against Burnley. That's what we're going to be looking for. As we're now 26 likes, guys, away from 100. Any help towards that would be great. Do subscribe and do go and check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by My Best 11 Pro. Links and details there in the description. A beautiful assist for Rayan Cherki, only been on the pitch a few minutes. That'll do him the world of good. He's got a couple of games where he's been a bit quiet. No doubt there from Mr. Cherki. Good finish from Savinho. That'd do him the world of good. Look what it means to Pep. He likes that. He likes that. Both Peps like that. Both Peps like that. Right. Very interesting situation, says Motherwell. Equaliser 2-2. If it stays this way, Celtic would have to win by 3. There's another ball forward here. Semenyo just couldn't get that under control, looking for Ait-Nouri. Here's Kovacic. City are hungry. They're looking for a 4th here. Here's Kovacic then to Guehi. I get where you're coming from, Andy, man. I feel like Arsenal look more favourable towards scoring a goal and winning 1-0, whereas Man City, in terms of their footballing ability, play football, knock the ball around, in my opinion, better than Arsenal and look more likely to go out, create and score goals than what Arsenal do. Man City don't really bore and 1-0 games. Man City tend to dominate, create and score goals. It's just, obviously we dropped points against Everton. It is what it is. It's good work from Savinho. And looking not to find a City player. Does find Ait-Nouri now. Takes a heavier touch, Ait-Nouri. Here's Doku. Larson gets his foot onto it. Only as far as Kovacic. Here's Doku. Gives the ball to Cherki. Lovely dink over. Savinho fancies another effort, and it's just wide there from Savinho and out for a goal kick. fancied another there, Savinho. Nearly another Cherki assist. The same combination from before. Doesn't get it right this time, Savinho, and goes Goes wide. Unfortunately. Savinho's hurt himself now. He's just feeling a bit of cramp from the lack of playing. Right. So it does mean Man City now got +1 on Arsenal's goal difference. The only difference is Arsenal's won one more game where Man City have drawn, and that would have been our match against Everton. Had we won that, everything being the same. We'd have had +2 on Arsenal, and it would have been a case where Arsenal would have to beat Burnley by 3 or more to be in control going into the final game and top of the league, but because we dropped points now. It makes it a bit redundant. That's a great stat. Phil Foden becomes the 3rd player ever with 100+ Premier League goals and assists, and none of them have come from the penalty spot. He's level at the moment in 2nd place with Damien Duff on 101. Phil Foden just needs 10 more goals or assists that don't come from the penalty spot to become the player with the most goals and assists without anything coming from the penalty spot. It's Gabby Agbonlahor that leads the way on 110. So there you go. Let's have a look at the Scottish league table and what's going on there. So at the minute, Hearts are playing Celtic. Final game. It's a 6-goal difference. So Celtic would have to beat Hearts by 3 or more as it stands. Are they full-time scores? Motherwell 2, Celtic 2. Hearts are 3-0 up against Falkirk, so Hearts doing what they need to do. Where's that final game at? It's at Celtic Park. Got to win by 3. Oh, wow. Wow. Right. 90 seconds remaining of this game. You feel like it's a job done situation for Man City. The question is now, can Man City make some gains? Savinho to Stones. Cherki. Great from Cherki. Here's Ait-Nouri to Doku. Ait-Nouri's got it under control into the penalty area. Driving forward, and it's good defending in the end. I think that might have gone out of play, but it's deemed to have stayed in play, and Ait-Nouri now in a bit of pain. It stays down. City momentarily down to 10 men. It would be great, Seamus, to hear the team talk. He'll be motivated. He was at Bernardo Silva's and John Stones' farewell, Kyle Walker, wasn't he? Here's John Stones now for Manchester City. Final 30 seconds plus whatever's to be added on here. I don't think they'll add that much on, to be honest. What do you reckon? 4 minutes I'm going to go for. Kovacic. Dinks one looking for Savinho. Can't find him. Palace mop it up. Do well to mop it up. Could be a chance here for Palace if they get it right. Larson. He's through on goal. Squared to Sarr. And he squares it across and Donnarumma collects. Offside flag eventually goes up into the first of 5 minutes then. 5 minutes remaining for Manchester City to try and keep their clean sheets in tow and try see if we can add another goal just to get an extra bit on Arsenal's goal difference. At the minute, there's no real margin for error for Arsenal. And the Man City know that if we can win our next Premier League game, we can take the Premier League title race guaranteed to the final game of the season. And that's the position that we're looking for, just to get Arsenal under as maximum pressure of a Premier League title decider on the final game of the season, because you just never know. Oh, Savinho's pulled up here. His cramps come back again. He's suffering, Savinho. The lack of game time coming in here. Khusanov's going to help him stretch it out. More cramp. This is the lack of game time that you get in here. I don't know why, but Pep looks unimpressed on the bench. He looks unimpressed. Right, Savinho back on his feet. Palace send the ball long. Khusanov wins the header. Comes in aggressively there, and referee deems it a free kick as well. I think he's had a pretty good game, Stuart Atwell. It's not easy, you know, in the shadows of what happened the other day in the West Ham Arsenal game, to come in and officiate. And I think he's done a pretty good job, Stuart Atwell. I'm not Stuart Atwell's biggest fan either, but I think he's done a good job today. He's done a real good job. Right, guys, I am, upon the conclusion of this game, going to end the live watch-along, and I'm going to do my match reaction up in the next hour for you guys to enjoy. So, whilst we go through the next 2.5 minutes, as Rayan Cherki picks the ball up, I wanted to thank you guys for tuning in. It is much appreciated. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. We're aiming for 100 likes. 3/4 of the way there, 25 likes to go. Any help towards that would be much appreciated. Do subscribe as well if you're new around here. It is free to subscribe. Social media links are in the description if you want to go and follow me on my X, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Get your thoughts in the live chat whilst we're live for the next couple of minutes. And also don't forget as well to get your thoughts in the comments below if you're watching this after the stream. What have you made of this performance by Manchester City, and a big 3 points, going 2 points behind Arsenal, and at the minute holding a superior goal difference to Arsenal as well? What are you making of that? Can Man City still win the Premier League? How are you feeling? What are you thinking? Do let me know in the comments below as the ball gets threaded through here. Semenyo is going to get on the end of it into the penalty area. Here comes the cavalry. Savinho just can't get past his man, Ait-Nouri. Can he find a pass? He can find Doku. Doku can get a bit of space, has a shot. It's blocked. Cherki now collects the ball. Bit of space for him to work with. Finds Ait-Nouri. It's in the tightest of spaces. Here's Kovacic. Works it out wide to Jeremy Doku. Any space available for anybody? Ait-Nouri does well. Here's Kovacic driving forward. Whips the ball to Semenyo. Heavier touch from Semenyo allows Mitchell to have business, and he gets it clear. Wants a throw-in, doesn't get one. It will be a throw-in for Manchester City in the final minutes of this game, which Abdukodir Khusanov is going to go and take. I wonder if we're going to see a Semenyo long throw at Man City at any one point. Might be worthwhile just packing the penalty area and launching a ball in to see if we can get a goal. I think Phil Foden's been given the man of the match. No surprise there. He'll feel much better now. I don't think he'll start against Chelsea at the weekend. I do think Phil Foden will get minutes, though, and if he can do something in them minutes that he gets in the FA Cup final, does his job of trying to get to the World Cup no harm. As Palace, last opportunity of the game, into the City penalty area. Shot comes in, blocked by a hand by John Stones, goes out of play. It's going to be a corner for Crystal Palace rather than a penalty. So last opportunity of the game is going to fall for Crystal Palace, which if they could find a goal, makes things interesting in terms of goal difference. Let's have a look at this. Block comes in. It's a bit like the handball before for Crystal Palace in the Champions League. You'd be thinking, John Stones, it's not by his side, but it's also not raised up in the air. Is it deliberate? I think the VAR's just going to clear it and say no penalty, like Crystal Palace had in the first half. And I said I didn't think that was a penalty either. So last bit of defending for Man City to do. Important we keep this clean sheet intact. Corner comes in. Too close to Donnarumma. And he'll collect and he'll launch this forward for Jeremy Doku to run onto. He gets onto it. So 1-on-3 for Man City. Doku needs the cavalry to arrive, and Palace managed to defend it out, and the referee brings an end to the game. 3-0 Manchester City, plus 3 points, 2 points behind Arsenal, 1 goal difference on Arsenal as well. We now move our focus to the FA Cup final on Saturday, the small matter of the FA Cup, and we'll see what the Clarets can do. come on the Clarets, come on Burnley on Monday evening against Arsenal away from home at the Emirates Stadium. We'll see if we can get a favour from them. All smiles on the Man City bench. Job done what they've needed to do. We'll move on to the FA Cup final. We play next on Saturday and see where we go from there. Then it's Arsenal against Burnley. We'll see if something happens from there. And then it's obviously the Man City game away from home against AFC Bournemouth. Not going to be easy, that one, of course. So I will be back with my next live watch along for the Burnley game next Tuesday evening for you guys to enjoy. I am off to the FA Cup final at Wembley, supporting Manchester City from Wembley. So if you do, any of you guys go in and you do see me at Wembley, do feel free to come and say hello. That would be fantastic. Love meeting you guys, and yeah, I'll have a match vlog out for that one, and I'll have my reaction for this video out in the next hour for you guys to enjoy. So, only one thing left for me to say, and that is a big thank you to today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by My Best 11 Pro. Go and check them out. Links and details, they are in the description, and a big thank you to them for sponsoring today's stream. Remember, these streams, they don't happen without the sponsors, so I'd appreciate anybody checking them out. That would be much appreciated. Steve says spot on with his prediction. I'm spot on with mine. My Premier League prediction video that I did the other day is the only one that I've got correct across this Premier League match day, but I said 3-0 Manchester City. And spot on with my 3-0 prediction. So, well done to you, Steve, as well. Seamus, you're more than welcome. Thank you very much, Andy Man, as well. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. McSid, you're more than welcome as well. Thank you very much for your kind comment, and see you on Saturday, ready for that game between Manchester City and Chelsea, Wembley Stadium, FA Cup final for the most prestigious domestic cup competition in the world. Dave says Celtic managed to pick up a last-minute winner, so Hearts now got to go to Celtic Park and not lose, rather than you've got the grace of not losing by 3. Things very interesting in Scotland, and things still quite interesting here in England as well. So, I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.